for your viewing pleasure. Previously in this series.
I'll just throw it up right here, what I paid for it. Young Swag is coming with me actually on her electric bike. This says 21 miles on the odometer. Okay, what could this be? What could this be? Hi there, you have received a product? Received it and film me tomorrow. Okay, that's great. Can you take a feedback photo for me, such as this? I absolutely can do that for you. Here you go. Today I'm adding this video you're watching today to the I Bought series, but full disclosure, the seller sent this to me for free to review. This is a GDS e-bike. It has a 20-inch tire. It's a 48-volt, 14 AH battery, so I think it's the biggest battery I've reviewed on an e-bike yet. And it's got a 750-watt electric motor that they claim, at least on their Shopify store, to do 35 miles per hour. A little skeptical about that, but hopefully my mind is completely blown. This is also the first e-bike I've reviewed that has front and rear suspension. The last one I reviewed had just front suspension. These ones are currently going on their Shopify store for about $1,400, so there's a link below if you guys do want to check it out. But it is, of course, a Chinese seller, rebranded bike, and they're just trying to get sales out of this video, so I'm gonna be as skeptical as I possibly can be. If it blows my mind, I will recommend it. If it doesn't blow my mind for the price, I just won't. But I'm excited. I'm excited to review this, so I guess let's just get to it. All right, boys, here she is, dude. I guarantee you this is probably the nicest e-bike I've ever owned. So here you guys can see the Amazon one I just reviewed. Over here in this messy little space, I have my electric bikes as well. And I know the electric bikes are definitely less expensive than this. This is $1,400 on sale currently. The electrics were about $900 or so when I bought them. Let's see what an additional $500 on top of the electric bikes will get you. You guys can see there is some rear suspension right here. We'll see how good that works. And there's some front suspension here. There is a preload adjustment and then a lock and an open. I'm not exactly sure what all that stuff is, but charger here, pedals, tool kit probably, and then owner's manual. This screen right now, the keys I have yet to insert into the bike, but the screen works. If you hold it down, definitely the coolest screen I've seen on an e-bike yet. This is the throttle, I'm assuming. It doesn't work with the keys not in it. You got the horn down here, which is like the little Amazon e-bike, but whatever. Got a plus and a minus, I don't know. Oh, okay, that's pedal assist. Oh, that's actually really cool. That's actually really cool. You got headlight, okay. And just like a car, it dims itself when you turn the headlight on because it's at nighttime, it's assuming. Information just kind of switches between. That's kind of cool. And then of course the power button. And then you have your shifters over here. As far as I know, it's a Shimano system. I don't really care. So anyway, yeah, it's looking pretty sweet. I'm excited to test this thing out. If it goes 35 miles per hour, which I highly doubt it does, I would blow my mind, and I would definitely recommend this to you guys, if just for the speed. But anyway, let me throw these pedals on and we'll actually get to testing this thing out. Well, actually, I'm gonna charge it first and then we'll get to testing it out. All right, this bike legitimately only took like 5 minutes to set up. Not too bad at all. Basically rideable right when you get it. And man, the color does look good. I gotta say, this is probably the best looking e-bike I've had too. All right, I'm gonna get this thing charged up. I'll catch you guys in 2 to 3 hours and we'll just go from there. I got this e-bike all charged up. I'm actually gonna throw this bad boy in the back of the Jeep because I actually may go get a new muffler, well, like a hard mounted muffler and exhaust system installed today. So I'll throw it back there. And if that does happen, I'll actually have a practical use for that e-bike, sticking it in the back of the Jeep to ride home if I do drop this off at a muffler shop today. So that's the plan. Let's throw it in there and see if I even use it. There you go. You can throw it in the back of a Jeep if you guys want. I would venture to say this might be a little bit too big for a car's trunk. Anyway, let's do it. I hope I hit up a muffler shop. I do want to get this thing hard mounted in just because it does rattle a little bit and it's kind of obnoxious. And I want to dump it out the sides so it's a little quieter in the cab. All right, well, I did in fact drop the Jeep off at a muffler shop. They said they could take it basically right away. But this is by far, I just rode a short distance already, is definitely the nicest electric bike I've owned. It was topping out at about 20 or 21 miles per hour, as it's limited electronically as they come from the factory. So I'm gonna hold down both the up and down, and it goes into a setting. I'm gonna go to advanced settings. You push I to click on it, and I just barely did this once to make sure it worked before you guys. So mode, I'm gonna put it, you can put it in sport. So I'm gonna try that, and then see what else we got. Assistant number, not sure exactly what that means. Power set. All right, anyway, I tweaked with the settings just a little bit. Hopefully it changes. I mean, to put it in sport, it's not normal anymore, so hopefully it turned off the limiter by doing that. All right, so I turned it on sport mode, and it went a lot faster. Turn off the limiter on sport mode, or by something else I did. I have no clue, but I put it on sport, and it's a lot faster now. By far the smoothest e-bike I have ever ridden. I mean, the front and rear suspension do their job, and it feels super nice to ride this thing. But yeah, definitely by far the nicest e-bike I've ridden. So it looks like we are still at 100% when it's resting. I noticed it did drop down to 90 when I was on the throttle, which honestly is probably the least voltage sag out of all the e-bikes that I've reviewed so far. We'll see how it keeps going. I'm just gonna get to it. I'm just gonna ride this thing and keep you guys updated as I keep going. So I rode this thing over all sorts of terrain, uphill, downhill, level surfaces, uneven surfaces, that kind of thing. And it handled well. All right, I just got home with this bad boy. There are currently 9.3 miles on the odometer, and hopefully the software is actually reading this better than the other e-bikes, because if it is, this is pretty impressive so far. And I'm just very excited to see what this can do. I mean, just the rest of the test, I can't wait to see. It is the most comfortable e-bike I've ever ridden. I mean, the suspension, I go over any kind of bump and you hardly feel it. Even when you're maxing this suspension out, I mean, it absorbs the impact. You can hear it, but it absorbs it and you can barely feel it. And so the bumps from the road don't translate into the rider. And I mean, it's just a nice e-bike. It really is. We got Young Swag out here. We are going for another ride. 9.3 miles on the odometer. We're probably going 3 miles or so there, 3 miles back. We have 12 miles on the odometer on this guy right here. It's sitting at 68%, so not too bad, not too bad. It's keeping pace with electrics and all the other ones I've been reviewing, so not too bad. But the main event, let's start this bad boy up and see how it sounds now. Back at it for the last ride before this battery's dead. I'm gonna kill it right now. And we're sitting at 66% with 12.4 miles on the odometer. So let's get to it. I also rode it at night, and the headlight is actually very nice, and really nice bike at night too. All right, so I've been riding this thing, and it's currently sitting. The sitting voltage right now is about 13% or so, but it's actually holding at 0%, like full throttle. It's holding at 0% for a significant ways. Probably for the last mile or so, it's been at 0%. And I'm starting to suspect that this software actually is just limiting the amount of amps that the battery in its depleted state is pushing. It's not shutting down, but it's just pushing slower and slower and slower. I can only get up to like 16 miles per hour right now at this point. This is the first time on an e-bike I have experienced it not actually cutting out when the battery reaches a minimum voltage. This is actually just pushing less and less to maintain above minimum voltage, and that is pretty impressive. So it's just going slower and slower, but it's not actually cutting out. Some cheaper e-bikes, when it cuts out, you have to restart the entire system, and then it gives you one more push and it cuts out. You have to restart the whole system and everything. The white Amazon one for like $1,300 that I reviewed, it cuts out, but it tries to assist you still, but it like has a hard cutout when it dies. This one, I have not experienced it cut out yet. It's been at 0% and it's just going slower and slower and slower. And I believe it's just gonna get so slow that you're just like crawling at like 5 miles per hour. But I don't think it's actually gonna cut out. And I'm just like trying to kill it. I'm like, it's gonna be dead long before I get home. It's at 0%. And then I actually got near my house and it's still going on 0%. So I'm just gonna go up and down the street until this thing actually like is too slow to actually ride. Another very cool feature that I actually do like on this is the cruise control is actually automatic, and after holding it for a few seconds, when it gets up to riding speed, basically it just locks the throttle on whatever position you have it on. So in my case, I had it on full throttle, and as you're getting up to speed, you can let go and it'll actually just keep going at whatever throttle you had it at until you either pull the brake or push the throttle again. Highly recommend this e-bike so far. And just the color scheme and everything, this bike is drawing a lot of attention. I don't just say that. I probably talked to 5 or 6 different people on the just ride home who were like, man, that's a really sweet bike you got there. How much you get that thing for? And so anyway, I'm gonna ride home and I'll let you guys know the status then. Still haven't pedaled. It's just getting slower and slower. I've been going for like 3 miles on 0%. This is awesome. That is hilarious, dude. All right, looks like I made it home. I'm just gonna call it there, dude. That's close enough. It's currently sitting at 4%, but I've been riding on 0% with the voltage sag and everything for like 3.5 miles. It's right at 20 miles, and I'm just gonna call it dead there. I mean, it was creeping along at like 9 miles per hour, but it had no juice left in it basically. So I'm gonna call it dead here. 20 miles or so per range, plus or minus, depending on, you know, your body weight, conditions of the ride and everything. So not too bad, comparable to all the other e-bikes so far that I've tested. The electrics seemed like they have a couple more miles of range in them, but again, ride quality and just overall look and feel of this bike is definitely better than those ones. So if you got $1,400 laying around, there is a link in the description below. The seller again did hook me up with this one for free just to test it to see if it was any good, and I definitely didn't hold that in his favor. It's a Chinese seller, Chinese brand, selling their Chinese bikes, so I didn't want to push it on you guys if it wasn't actually a good bike, but it actually is a good bike. This is one of those bikes that people would just resell. You'll see them pop up, I'm sure, if they're not already on the market in the United States and whatever, that people would just resell as like higher end, higher quality bikes kind of thing, you know, in a US company or UK company or any other country besides China. We'll start selling these, and so I mean, it actually is a good bike. The guy said 35 miles per hour on his listing. I think he was either high or drunk at the time, or he thought it was kilometers per hour and miles per hour are the same thing. If it actually had gone 35 miles per hour, I would have just been like, buy it right now. But I mean, even though it doesn't go 35, I still think it's a pretty sweet quality e-bike. And so if you got the money to toss around. And I almost forgot to mention, while I'm critiquing this thing, the chain, you know, I'm not a bicycle expert or anything, but sometimes it kind of clicks when you're pedaling in the higher gears, when you're like at speed. Sometimes it just clicks and kind of skips a tooth every now and then. I know it's an easy adjustment. I just don't want to. Besides the chain skipping a tooth every now and then and some of the gears, which I could adjust, you know, which I don't really care enough to do that. And like, I'm not a professional, but like, I feel like that light should be in the middle and that little rack should be in the middle of the tire. I don't know, man. So anyway, I gotta go work on the Mercedes now. I'm getting everything finished up today, hopefully. Very excited for that. I cannot wait to have one of my dream cars on the road. So stay tuned for that video and all the rest to come. I hope you guys are enjoying them. That being said, make sure you guys are subscribed. Hit the like button if you could, just to help my channel out, man. I've been working at this thing for years. And I'll catch you guys next time.